Imagine a land sealed off from the world, a land where every breath, every heartbeat is constantly under siege. No food, no electricity, no clean water. A place where survival itself becomes a form of resistance. This is Gaza. On April 7, 2025, in the White House spotlight, Donald Trump stood beside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He called Gaza a chunk of real estate, a territory America should control, rebuild, and reinvent. But the proposal carried a chilling undertone, rebuilding Gaza without the 1.8 million Palestinians currently living there. A vision critics call modern colonialism, land redevelopment with people expunged. Behind closed doors, the U.S.-Israel alliance remains unshakable. Israel receives nearly $4 billion in U.S. aid each year, providing it both political shield and power. Any international pressure largely neutralized. Now, fast forward to September 2025. Trump and Netanyahu have unveiled a new 20-point peace and ceasefire plan that aims to reshape Gaza's future. The plan calls for a temporary governing board led by Trump, includes Tony Blair, and demands Hamas disarm in exchange for Israeli withdrawal and hostage release. They say no Palestinian will be forced out, though critics argue the fine print reveals familiar dangers of displacement. At the press conference, Netanyahu's voice grew stern. If Hamas rejects this plan, Israel will finish the job. It can be done the easy way or the hard way. The world watches, waiting to see if Hamas will accept or risk devastation. In March 2025, the truce ended with a surprise Israeli offensive. Over 400 Palestinians were killed in a single night. On March 23rd, tragedy struck again. Israeli fire hit humanitarian vehicles in Rafah, killing 15 paramedics and aid workers. On April 9th, in Shujaiya, bombs flattened a densely populated residential block. Over 35 souls lost, countless homes destroyed, and missing persons vanished in dust and chaos. In May 2025, a school in Gaza City used as a shelter became a target. 36 people died, including 18 children and several women, after an Israeli airstrike hit the Fahmy al-Jargawi school. Horror unfolded as a tiny girl tried to flee from burning corridors. Then, on May 13th, Israeli airstrikes struck Gaza European Hospital in Khan Yunis, killing 28, including Hamas leaders, and wounding dozens. Aid distribution points offered glimpses of desperation and tragedy. On May 27th and 28th, in Rafah, crowds gathered for food. As supplies were unloaded, Israeli tanks reportedly opened fire. The casualties? At least 10 dead, 62 wounded. The Gaza Health Ministry now says upwards of 66,000 Palestinians have died, thousands more wounded, as the siege tightens and global outcry struggles to keep pace. Just days ago, Israeli airstrikes killed 17 Palestinians in central and southern Gaza, including children and women, reigniting demands for a ceasefire. And still, the humanitarian crisis deepens. Hunger spreads, hospitals collapse, and people wait for help that rarely comes. The United Nations has issued blistering condemnations, war crimes, genocide, calls for accountability, but many resolutions stall in political deadlock. U.S. vetoes at the UN Security Council regularly block enforcement of ceasefires or meaningful intervention. In Europe, momentum builds. On September 22nd, France formally recognized Palestine and called for a UN stabilization force in Gaza to ensure order and security. In the UK, the Labour Party conference passed a motion labeling Israel's actions in Gaza as genocide, urging the government to suspend arms sales and act more forcefully. Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts swirl. Trump's 20-point plan proposes Israel release 250 life sentence prisoners plus 1,700 detainees currently held from Gaza, in exchange for Hamas surrendering hostages within 72 hours. But Hamas so far remains silent, demanding full withdrawal before it even considers. Caught between war and diplomacy lies Gaza's people, praying for pause, for relief, for life. The conflict rages not just in streets and trenches, but through cameras, headlines, and hashtags. Israel invests heavily in media influence campaigns, shaping global narratives and justifying military action. In turn, many international media outlets tread lightly, citing official Israeli statements rather than assigning blame, even when evidence is clear. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, another war rages. Cyber attacks, website defacements, and DDoS attacks emerge as low-level fronts in the Israel-Gaza conflict, mostly from pro-Palestinian activists striking Israeli targets. Satellite-based analysis shows the destruction. Over 190,000 buildings damaged or destroyed across Gaza following intense bombardment campaigns. In every tweet, every broadcast, every news cycle, the stories of Gaza are filtered, framed, hidden, or spotlighted, depending on who holds the megaphone. So when Trump calls Gaza real estate, we must ask, is Gaza a blank plot to be developed or a living homeland where millions can simply not be erased? Is redevelopment a pathway to dignity or a new kind of displacement? Because behind every statistic is a face, a home, a story. This is not real estate. This is life. This is Gaza.